ASMR Gaming News. Greetings, everyone, and welcome to a new ASMR Movie Geek review. So, today I'm going to be reviewing the new Super Mario movie that just came out. I'm a big Nintendo fan, big Super Mario fan, so I have some gameplay here in the background. Hopefully it's enjoyable, and yeah, I'm just gonna give my review, my thoughts on the movie, and do not worry if you have not seen the movie yet. There's not going to be any spoilers for the beginning part of this video. I'm going to put 2 chapters for this video, a non-spoiler section here at the beginning, and then about halfway through the video I'm going to get the spoilers. So if you haven't seen the movie yet, don't worry, I will give a warning. So, what can I say? Okay, so I've been excited about this movie for a few years now, ever since it first got announced that Nintendo was working with Illumination. They're the studio that made the Minions movies and Despicable Me and stuff, and they're pretty talented as far as like animation and stuff goes. So it would make sense, you know, from that standpoint for Nintendo to want to work with them. So this got announced, and we got a trailer a while back, and I've been anticipating this movie, so it finally released, and I got to go see it. Right from the start, I can say that a lot of people went to go see this movie. Theater was packed, lots of families, lots of adults that were like big fans of Mario, lots of people that brought their, you know, cousins, their friends. Like, it was packed, lots of ages. Like, you had grandpas there, you had like kids there, you had grandmas there, you had like people in their 30s, people in their 40s. Like, everybody was going to watch the Mario movie. So I think that kind of like is expected, because Nintendo has fans that are kind of like all ages, you know. And I guess everybody was waiting for a good Mario movie or something for a while, because the theater was pretty full. And judging by the numbers that Nintendo and Illumination put out, the theater is doing very well with the Mario movie. Apparently it already made like millions and hundreds of millions of dollars or something, so that's insane. So my first impression as someone that just literally watched the movie like a couple hours ago, it is a good movie, very happy. I would say it's like a very comfy, exciting, fun, family-friendly adventure like experience, you know. Like, you watch this movie and you're gonna have a good time. That's the best way to like describe it. Don't go in expecting, you know, a 10 out of 10, maybe Christopher Nolan Interstellar type movie or something with like an amazing in-depth story. But don't go in expecting like a really low budget bad movie either. Like, go in expecting fun, and that's exactly what you're gonna get. Especially if you're a Nintendo fan, or if you're a fan of Mario. This movie has a lot of references to not only Mario, but to other Nintendo series and things as well. So there's a little bit of something for everybody. The movie is not that long. Seriously, it felt like it was like an hour and 20 minutes is what I want to say. It felt pretty short. Like, I remember like the movie finishing and I was like, wow, okay, that was pretty fast. But most animated movies, you know, like Disney and stuff, they're usually like an hour and a half. So this was like right in there as well. Let's see, what can I talk about that's not really spoilers? Let's see. Oh, the animation quality. So this movie, it literally looks like some of the CG cutscenes from the Mario or Nintendo games that are on the Switch. Like, the graphics are insane, the CG cutscenes. Like, there are moments where I'm like, hey, this looks really, really good. And the character models and everybody for either like Peach or Mario or Luigi or Toad all look amazing. really blown away just how colorful and vibrant the world is in this movie. I know it's animated, so that's to be expected, but you have a lot of animated movies sometimes that don't really have that much color or vibrancy, but they really capture the feeling of like the Mushroom Kingdom, and it didn't feel like you were watching a movie based on maybe a real world location. It felt like you were watching like a fictional kind of like fantasy world come to life. So I really like that. Music was fantastic. This movie is full of references to either old Nintendo games or Mario games. So there's like both in this movie. There's like little ringtones or things that happen in the movie that are references to Nintendo or Mario. There's little like jingles, little sounds and things that'll play, and you're like, oh yeah, that's that classic Mario sound. So there's a little bit of that for everybody. So really appreciated like those, and apparently the movie has like hundreds and hundreds of Easter eggs that, you know, you're gonna have to watch like 2 or 3 or 5 times in order to at least catch them all. So definitely a very rewatchable movie. But I really appreciated the music. The movie does something interesting. They mix in like real world music and Nintendo and Mario music. So there are a couple scenes in this movie where they'll just play like, you know, popular songs from the last 40 years. You know, they'll have like some 80s music, some 90s music. There's even like some 2000s tracks just, you know, they put in the movie. And honestly, I would say they kind of fit perfectly in there. They don't really feel weird. Makes sense, you know, in the lore of the story. You know, Mario and Luigi, they're from the real world, you know, they're from Brooklyn in New York City. So it would make sense for there to be at least, you know, real world music. And then there's also music from the Mushroom Kingdom that's kind of more like Nintendo sounding and stuff. So I feel like there's a good balance between music that you hear on the radio and the music from like Nintendo games. So overall, really enjoyed the soundtrack, all the little musical references and nods and Easter eggs to other Nintendo stuff. Let's see. Ooh, the voice acting. Okay, so Chris Pratt, you know, he did a great job. The trailers, at first I was kind of like, oh man, it doesn't sound like Mario. He does not sound like Mario. But within like, no joke, within like 10 minutes of watching the Mario movie, my brain just completely turned off. That was like, hey, this is Chris Pratt. I just completely forgot about that. I was like, hey, this sounds like Mario, cool. And I was watching the movie, enjoying it. I wasn't even thinking about it being Chris Pratt voicing Mario anymore. So I feel like they really did a great job. Chris Pratt, I feel like he played Mario in a way for Mario to kind of sound normal, like he was an Italian from Brooklyn with maybe not as heavy as an accent as Mario has in the games. So I think they did a great job. Yeah, sounds pretty good. Sounds pretty good for sure. The only thing that I can say is it is a little bit weird that they got Chris Pratt instead of an actual, like, I don't know, Italian actor to kind of play Mario. But hey, I guess they wanted to go with like a big celebrity, which makes sense. But Luigi also great voice acting. Bowser absolutely stole the show. Bowser was very convincing, great voice acting. Yo, Jack Black absolutely needs to be in more animated movies or something. Wow, really enjoyed him as Bowser. There are a couple other characters in this movie. I don't know how many other characters I can reference before it becomes a spoiler. The voice acting was great though. I guess the only other voice actor I can talk about that isn't a spoiler is Peach. She's voiced by Anya Taylor-Joy, who's blowing up right now. She's been in a lot of great movies. I watched her in that Netflix series, The Queen's Gambit, which was like a TV like series on Netflix about chess that was really entertaining, and I've seen her in a bunch of other shows and things as well. She did great as Peach. Great voice acting by her as well. They really brought to life all these characters so I have no complaints with the music, with the voice acting. The one thing that I have a criticism of is the story. And maybe this is, the more important part, but everything else was very enjoyable. The story of this movie, it seems like a lot of fans and a lot of critics kind of agree on this one thing. The story is kind of average, and it's not a bad thing for an animated movie to have an average story, It's just very, very safe, let's put it that way. Like, how a lot of the older Disney movies, it would be like, princess gets taken, the hero has to go rescue the princess, defeat the evil, like, dragon or warrior or witch, get the princess, the movie ends, that kind of story, the simple kind of story. The Mario movie kind of follows that formula, and I think some people were expecting a little bit more since Nintendo was involved. Nintendo, even in a lot of their more recent games, has tried to put a lot more story into it. Like, their Metroid games, their Zelda games have at least a decent level of story. I know Mario usually keeps it pretty simple, but even some of the recent Mario games like Mario Odyssey and Mario Galaxy and Super Mario Sunshine have had, kind of a more unique story to them. So I can understand how some people are a little bit disappointed, but I still enjoyed the story. Like, personally, I went in expecting just a fun Mario movie. Bowser maybe takes Peach or somebody else, and then it's up to Mario to save the day with his friends, and that's exactly what happens in this movie. I was expecting maybe a little bit more character development, like with the characters, maybe how they change a little bit as the story goes on, but the movie tries to keep it pretty safe, pretty, I want to say, like, just pretty simple, but not in a bad way. Like, being simple with the story is not bad. An example would be Despicable Me. Since this movie is made by Illumination, Despicable Me was a movie they made previously. If any of you watch Despicable Me, you probably know what I'm going to talk about, but the movie starts off with, like, Gru being a pretty bad guy, and he doesn't really care, like, at all. And as the movie goes on, you kind of see Gru grow as a person, and he kind of cares, and by the end of the movie, he's almost like a completely different character, and you get to see that kind of story progression, and it's nice. This movie doesn't really have that. It basically starts with Mario and Luigi, and it ends in kind of the same way it started. Like, there is maybe like 10% character progression in the movie. So that's just one thing that if in the sequel they can fix, I'll be very, very happy if we maybe get some more character development between Mario and Luigi and Peach. Even with Bowser, I feel like Bowser actually was one of the only characters in the movie that really, really got a lot of, character development. Maybe because he stole the show in all of his scenes, but you actually did get to understand Bowser a little bit more as, how he is in this movie, and I like that. I like that a lot. I just wish they did the same with maybe Peach, with Mario and Luigi. But now it's time to get to the spoiler section, so let's get to the spoilers. Wow, okay. So, spoiler section here. I'm just gonna go through a quick recap of the movie. The movie starts with Mario and Luigi as plumbers, basically in New York City. They're from Brooklyn, which, if any of you watched some of the older, like, 80s or 90s, like, Mario TV series, Mario in those, he would always be a plumber, and he was from New York, so at least they kept some of that stuff with the lore for this movie, so that was pretty cool. So one day, Mario and Luigi, they're trying to save the city from this, like, flood or whatever that's happening in Brooklyn, and they go down into the sewers, and deep in the underground sewers of Brooklyn, they find a warp pipe, the green warp pipes from Mario. Luigi gets sucked in, Mario gets sucked in, and they end up in the Mushroom Kingdom. Mario ends up near Peach's castle, and Luigi ends up in the final, Dark World area that's Bowser's. So basically, if this was a Mario game, think of it has Mario starting on level 1 and Luigi starting on the final level, which is kind of funny. So Luigi gets captured by Bowser, and Mario kind of is very confused at this new world. He meets Toad, that's kind of like Captain Toad, and he ends up taking him to see Peach. Peach is aware that Bowser's trying to, conquer her kingdom, so she and Mario team up together to go to the Donkey Kong area of the world and ask for the help from the Kongs. So Mario first has to kind of prove himself in this like 2D Mario jumping sequence that is like a full-on reference to the old Mario games, so absolutely love that. Mario eventually gets better. He learns about power-ups in the Mushroom Kingdom and stuff like that, so Peach and him end up going to meet Donkey Kong and Cranky Kong as well, who's kind of like the older Kong from the Donkey Kong Country games. If any of you ever played those, you know what I'm talking about. And they only agree to help Peach if Mario can beat Donkey Kong. And then they fight in this like huge battle arena in the old Donkey Kong style. If any of you played the arcade game Donkey Kong, it's basically Donkey Kong throwing barrels at Mario and Mario having to dodge that and fight Donkey Kong. So it's kind of paying homage to the original Donkey Kong game, with Mario and him fighting in this arena on like steel construction beams as he throws barrels at him. It's great. Eventually Mario does end up winning miraculously. Peach is like super happy at seeing Mario win. Mario is happy that the Kongs will help them try to take on Bowser. And then they decide to take a shortcut and get to, where Bowser is to fight him. So there's this huge fight sequence as they're racing, because the Kongs use vehicles like Mario Kart. And they're racing on the Star Road, the Rainbow Road from the Mario Kart games. And you see Bowser and his minions there trying to fight Mario, Peach, and everybody else. And basically everybody gets captured. Peach, though, manages to get away. And Donkey Kong and Mario fall off the Rainbow Road into the ocean or the water below. And there's kind of like an underwater level, and Donkey Kong and Mario help each other to escape. Meanwhile, Bowser is proposing to Peach, who is trying to save the people that Bowser captured, and Bowser says that he'll only help her if she marries him, so Peach is like, okay. So it's a little bit similar to the plot of Mario Odyssey, if any of you played that game. And at the last minute before the wedding finishes, Peach is like, no, I'm not marrying you, and she pulls out an ice flower and completely freezes Bowser and the rest of the, Bowser's minions that are in the audience. And Mario comes in and he saves Luigi, who was captured by Bowser, and Donkey Kong's there and everybody's fighting. And then there's like this huge final battle, which I felt was a little bit weird. I feel like they could have just ended it in the Mushroom Kingdom, but Mario's getting chased by an enormous bullet bill that's gonna destroy the Mushroom Kingdom. So Mario points the bullet bill into a warp pipe. The warp pipe explodes, and it basically pulls everybody from the Mushroom Kingdom into the real world, into New York City. So everybody's taken from the Mushroom Kingdom and thrown right into Brooklyn. And then you have a lot of like Mario's family members and people that he knows, like, what is going on? And Mario's still fighting Bowser. Bowser in this whole movie, he's trying to deliver this superstar to Peach as a wedding gift. So Mario finally manages to get this star that Bowser took early on in the movie. And if you play the Mario games, you know what the star does. Basically makes Mario invincible. And Luigi and Mario both touch the star at the same time, so they both become kind of super invincible, and they take on Bowser and destroy all his minions, and it's a great final sequence to the movie. And then the movie kind of ends, and everybody says, yay, thank you, Super Mario Brothers, and everybody's happy. And Mario and Luigi decide to stay in the Mushroom Kingdom, and it kind of ends with them just running through the Mushroom Kingdom. So I guess they decide to stay there instead of staying in the real world, and I can't wait to see what other movies they bring us in the future. So that's the movie basically, and I really loved it. I give it an 8 out of 10, or like a 4 out of 5 rating. I feel like that's a pretty high rating for this movie because the story is kind of simple, but I am a big Nintendo fan, a big Mario fan, and I highly recommend going to watch this. It was a lot of fun. And yeah, if you like Mario, if you like Nintendo, or if you just like fun animated movies, then this is definitely something you should watch. And there's so many fun little references and Easter eggs. There are 2 scenes in this movie that I really like. One scene is when Luigi's cell phone falls on the floor, and someone calls him, so his ringtone is the Nintendo GameCube intro. And I immediately picked up on that. I was like, wait a second, that's the GameCube intro. And it's Luigi's ringtone for his cell phone, so that was super cool. Another scene that I really liked was Mario, after his dad says that he's kind of like a bad plumber and he needs to work on his life or something like that. Basically, Mario gets sad that his dad said something, so he goes to his room and he's playing on an original NES Nintendo Entertainment System, and I think he's playing the game Kid Icarus, if I'm not mistaken, on the NES. And it was, complete with sound effects and everything. It looked amazing. So those are great scenes. My favorite music scene in the movie is when they first end up in the Donkey Kong world. They meet, I believe, Funky Kong, I think. And, wait, he did not have a bandana though, so I don't think it was Funky Kong. They meet one of the Kongs there. And, Peach, Mario, and Toad all hop aboard his car, and he starts speeding through the city super fast as Take On Me is playing, and that's an amazing song from the 80s. I love that Take On Me song, so when they were playing that in this movie, I thought it worked perfectly with that scene. So this movie has a lot of scenes like that that are just like really fun and enjoyable to watch. So I'm definitely gonna be maybe buying this movie on 4K Blu-ray when it comes out, just because I plan on watching it again and again. So yeah, that's my review of the Mario movie. Go watch it. Really enjoyed it, and yeah, let me know if any of you watched the movie, what your thoughts are in the comments, and I'll see you all next time. So long, and farewell.